You wake to the sound of wind sliding through tall grass. It whispers like it always does, tugging softly at the thatched roof above you. You hear it before you open your eyes, the soft hush, the distant hum of birds, and the faint creak of wooden beams holding up your family's roundhouse. The air inside is cool, almost damp. The scent of smoke lingers from last night's fire, mixing with the earthy smell of packed clay beneath your mat. Somewhere nearby, your mother is already moving, quiet, steady, careful not to wake the others yet. You stretch slowly, your body still heavy from sleep. The blanket slides off your shoulder as you sit up. Another day, another beginning. You were born here, in the lands of the Iceni, long before the Romans came, before the new roads cut across the fields like fresh scars, before the tall stone temples rose in their towns, before the taxes, before the soldiers. You still remember the old days, or at least the stories of them, when your people answered only to their own kings, when the Druids walked freely and no man carried the weight of Rome on his back. But now Rome sits everywhere, even in the silence. You stand and step quietly across the packed earth. The thin wool of your tunic brushes against your legs. Outside, the village stirs slowly under a pale sky. The morning light glows faint behind a layer of mist, wrapping the fields in a soft gray. You see the small shapes of your neighbors moving between roundhouses, carrying baskets, feeding animals, stirring cook fires back to life. It smells of damp grass, wood smoke, and fresh earth. The Roman fort lies just beyond the hills, close enough that even now you can see the sharp outlines of their stone walls cutting into the horizon. The soldiers march there every morning. Their sandals slap the ground in perfect rhythm. Their voices rise and fall in harsh Latin commands you only partly understand. You were taught enough of their language to survive, but not enough to belong. You do not belong, and they know it. Your mother hands you a small clay bowl of warm grain. You eat quietly, feeling its weight settle in your stomach. Your father sits nearby, sharpening a short blade with slow, steady strokes. He doesn't speak much in the mornings. Words are saved for things that matter. The quiet carries its own comfort. But even in this peace, there's a pressure underneath it all. You feel it. Everyone feels it. Even the land feels different now. The Romans called this peace Pax Romana. But it's not your peace. It's the peace of a hand resting on your shoulder. Gentle for now, but heavy. A hand that could tighten at any moment. You step outside with your father. The fields spread wide before you. Wheat sways gently, bending under the morning breeze. The horses graze along the edges, their dark forms moving slowly. You've always loved the horses. The Iceni are known for them. Strong, fast, beautiful animals. Even the Romans admire them. You've seen their officers pay high prices for good stock. Sometimes you wonder if the Romans would steal the horses too, if given the chance. They take everything else. You walk with your father toward the edge of the woods where the traps were set. The ground is soft underfoot, damp from last night's rain. The trees creak as wind slips through their leaves. As you check the traps, your father finally speaks. They say the governor returns soon. You glance at him, the Roman governor. Suetonius Paulinus. The name tastes bitter, even though you barely whisper it. Your father's face stays calm, but his jaw tightens slightly. He says, he'll come to collect tribute. You nod. You don't need him to explain. You've seen it before. The demands, the taxes, the soldiers following behind to ensure payments arrive. Your people pay, because not paying brings soldiers, and soldiers bring far worse. The walk back feels heavier, not because of what you carry, but because of what you know waits in the near future. At the village center, you see them, a small group of Roman taxmen already speaking with the elders. Their polished helmets shine beneath the breaking sun. The red crests bob as they shift, their hands resting easily on the hilts of their swords. Their translator speaks calmly, almost politely, but you know the threat beneath the words.
The elder nods slowly. His eyes flick toward the watching villagers. No one speaks out loud, but every heart beats faster. Later that day, the soldiers arrive. Not many, only a dozen, but enough. They don't shout. They don't need to. Their armor clinks softly as they move, spreading through the village like smoke. The centurion in charge wears a thin smile as he speaks to the elders again. The same words, the same demands. But this time, the numbers are higher. The debts larger. The price of peace has grown. You watch your father's hands tighten at his sides. Your mother stands nearby, lips pressed thin. Boudicca doesn't speak yet. Not now. But you see her standing at the edge of the gathering, tall with her long red hair braided behind her back. She watches the Romans with the same calm your father wears, the kind that hides something sharper underneath. She is your queen. The Romans call her client ruler, as if she serves them. You know better. Her husband, King Prestugus, made peace with Rome years ago, signed their agreements, paid their taxes, gave them what they wanted. For a while. But the king is dead now, and Rome does not honor the dead. They see weakness. They see opportunity. And soon they will take more. They always take more. That night the village is quiet. Even the fires seem smaller. You sit outside, watching the stars emerge between thin clouds. The moon glows faint above the dark hills. The wind carries distant sounds, Roman horns echoing from their camp, sharp commands breaking the still air. Your brother lies beside you, already asleep, head resting against your arm. You stare upward. What would it feel like to live without them here? To see your land again, whole, untouched, unthreatened. You can barely imagine it. The old stories your grandmother told feel further away now. The days before Rome feel like dreams told too many times. Tomorrow, they will return again, and the queen will speak. You don't know what she'll say, but deep inside, you feel something shifting, something heavy rising beneath the silence. Not anger, not yet, but something close. The Romans think you were quiet because you were weak. They do not hear the roots growing beneath their roads. You lie back against the earth, letting the cool ground pull you downward. The sky breathes above you. The hills sleep. The soldiers march in their camps, and you drift.
The morning feels colder. The sky hangs low with thin gray clouds, soft but heavy. Dew clings to the grass as you step outside. Your breath curls into small clouds that fade quickly into the air. The village stirs around you, quiet, careful. You aren't the only one feeling it. You sense it in the way people move today. Slower, more deliberate. No laughter, no idle talk. The children stay closer to their mothers. The men glance often toward the far road that curves beyond the trees. The road that leads to them. To the Romans. Your father is already sharpening a wooden pole outside the roundhouse. Not a weapon, not yet. He shapes it into a long stick for guiding the horses. But you can see the tension in his hands, the way his knuckles turn pale, how he presses the blade harder than he needs to. Your mother carries a small clay pot toward the drying racks. The rhythm of work continues. Because it must. Because pretending is easier than admitting what everyone knows. The soldiers will return today, and they will want more. The first horn echoes softly from beyond the trees. You pause. There's something final about that sound. Not loud, not urgent, just certain. The soldiers aren't rushing. They don't need to. They know the village will be here, waiting, as it always has. But this time feels different. Even the wind carries it. They arrive as a small column, maybe 20 soldiers this time. The centurion rides ahead on horseback, his red plume swaying lightly as the horse steps forward. His face is calm, almost bored. Behind him, the familiar tax agents carry fresh scrolls. One holds a thick wax tablet in both hands. More names, more numbers. You stand near your father as the elders gather again. The centurion dismounts, adjusts his cloak, and glances casually across the group. You feel his eyes pause briefly on you, not with interest, not with threat, but with the kind of cold detachment that says, you're simply part of the inventory. The translator steps forward. His Latin words slide easily off his tongue. You catch parts of them. Debts, increased, Rome's protection, recent losses, loyalty, expected. The elder responds softly, "Our people have given what was agreed. This," he gestures toward the scroll, "was not part of the agreement." The translator speaks again, this time sharper. The centurion remains silent, watching. More words, more pressure. The elder's voice tightens, but remains steady. The others, behind him, your father included, stand straight. No one shouts. Not yet. Then the centurion speaks. His voice cuts through the translator like a blade. Tribute is not a negotiation. His Latin is slow, deliberate. He knows many here understand enough to hear him directly. This land belongs to Rome. Your queen rules because Rome allows it. The words hang in the air like smoke. You see a flicker cross the elder's face. But before he can respond, another voice answers. Strong. Clear. From behind the circle. It's Boudicca. She steps forward slowly. Her long red hair falls in braids over her shoulders. Her dark blue cloak shifts slightly in the breeze. You feel the entire village lean forward, without moving. The soldiers watch her carefully, though none speak. She does not shout. Her voice is calm, even soft. We have honored our side for years. We have paid your taxes. We have given our land, our medals, even our warriors to your campaigns. She pauses. But Rome does not stop. The translator hesitates, but repeats her words. The centurion's lips curl faintly, but not into a smile. Boudicca continues. We are not your slaves. Her voice grows colder now. And we will not give what is not owed. The silence that follows feels louder than words. The centurion steps closer, slowly. His tone shifts, not sharp, but with a quiet weight. Rome decides what is owed. He gestures to the soldiers behind him. Two step forward, not toward the elders, toward Boudicca. Your breath catches. One soldier reaches for her arm. Quick, mechanical, like he's tying a horse. She doesn't resist, but she doesn't lower her gaze. The village watches, frozen. You feel your father's hand tighten on your shoulder. The second soldier steps forward too, gripping the fabric of her cloak roughly, pulling it aside. The humiliation is deliberate, calculated. They aren't here to negotiate anymore. It happens quickly. The soldiers strike. One raises a rod, bringing it down across her back. The sound of the blow cracks sharply through the quiet morning. Boudicca stays standing. Another strike follows. You feel your stomach twist. Her daughters, standing nearby, are dragged forward next. Their screams break the air. The village holds its breath. Every muscle in your body burns to move, but you don't. None of you do. Because moving now means death. The soldiers finish their work. The centurion gives no commands. He simply watches, then turns back toward his horse. The tax agents complete their notes, as if nothing happened. The soldiers fall back into formation, and just like that, they leave. The village stands silent long after the soldiers are gone. Even the wind stops for a moment. You hear your own breath, shallow and sharp. Your father releases your shoulder. Your mother wipes her hands on her dress, though there's no dirt there. The elders lower their heads. No one speaks, not because they have nothing to say, but because saying anything would break the fragile shell holding everyone together. Later, when the sun lowers behind the trees, the fires burn quietly again. You sit with your brother by the embers, his small hand resting against your arm. You look across at your father, sharpening that same wooden pole again, but now the motion is slower, more thoughtful. Your mother sits nearby, threading beads on a leather cord. The stars begin to rise. The land feels different tonight. Not heavier, not quieter, just waiting. Boudicca remains inside her roundhouse, but you know this. The line has been crossed. And the Romans do not realize what they've done. Not yet. But they will. You breathe deeply, letting the cool air press gently into your lungs. The night folds around you. The fires hum softly. The world pauses, and you drift.
The morning light spreads slowly, but the village rises even slower. The air feels still, heavier than yesterday, as if the wind itself holds its breath. You step outside and pull your tunic tighter against the cool air. The fires from last night have left thin trails of gray smoke rising into the sky, blending softly with the pale clouds above. The fields lie quiet. Even the birds seem more careful in their songs today. Work continues, as it always does, because it must. Your father moves through the stable, checking the horses, running his hands across their necks, whispering softly to them, as he has done every morning since you can remember. The horses trust him. They don't know what waits beyond the hills. Or perhaps they do. Animals feel things before men do. You join him in silence. The traps need checking again. The forest feels colder beneath the tall trees. The damp earth softens your footsteps. Moss clings to the base of the old oaks, and somewhere far off, a raven calls, once, then twice. Your father speaks as you reach the first snare. "They made their choice yesterday," he says quietly, his voice like the wind, steady but thin. You don't answer. There is nothing to add. The choice wasn't made by your people. Not really. The Romans chose. The soldiers chose. And now the ground beneath everything has shifted. Back at the village, people speak in small clusters, low voices, quick glances. The women gather near the looms, but no weaving begins. The men sharpen tools that do not need sharpening. They mend ropes already strong enough. They are waiting, not for permission, but for direction. And everyone looks towards one place, towards her. Boudicca stands outside her roundhouse this morning, tall, silent. Her daughters sit beside her, their faces pale but still. No tears today, only something sharper. You watch her eyes move across the village, not as a queen asking for loyalty, but as a leader measuring her people, taking their weight in her hands, feeling how much they can hold, and how much they are ready to carry. By midday, a rider arrives. Dust rises behind his horse as he enters the village. He dismounts quickly, his breathing heavy. You watch him speak directly to Boudicca. The words come in sharp bursts. From the little you catch, you hear names: Camulodunum, Londinium, Verulamium. Roman towns, Roman settlers, Roman wealth. The places where the invaders live, where their temples rise, where their roads cut across stolen land. The news is spreading, not just here, everywhere. Other tribes stir, the Trinovantes, the Catuveluani, the others who have felt Rome's hand pressing into their backs. By evening, the first councils begin. Small at first, quiet. Leaders gather around low fires, speaking in short bursts, listening more than they speak. Your father joins them. You stay back near your mother. The firelight dances across their faces, casting deep shadows under their eyes. The words you catch are careful. Enough. Taken too much. Honor the dead. For the children. And finally, from one voice you recognize clearly, Boudicca. The Romans believe we are weak because we are patient, but patience is not weakness. The others nod. The fire pops once, sending a small spray of sparks into the night. Later, as the council breaks, your father returns quietly. He sits beside your mother, who places a bowl of warm stew in his hands. He eats slowly, as if tasting every bite as something rare. You watch him closely. You know what he's thinking. You are thinking it too. You sit outside long after your brother falls asleep. The stars hang bright above you, hundreds of cold white sparks scattered across the sky. The wind carries the faint scent of pine from the distant hills. The Roman camp lies somewhere out there. Their fires glow behind high stone walls, guarded by tall spears and sharp iron. But for the first time in many years, they may not be the only ones preparing. You stare up at the stars. You wonder what they would say if they could speak. If they watched this happen before. If they've watched this happen many times. Invaders arrive. They build their roads, their walls, their temples. And always beneath it all, the people who were here first wait. Until they no longer can. Somewhere deep inside, you feel the strange mix growing. It isn't fear. It isn't anger. It's heavier than both. It's the quiet pull of inevitability. Like watching storm clouds gather on a clear horizon. You don't control them. You don't start them. But you know what they bring. And you know they're coming. You close your eyes as the wind brushes across your face. The fire behind you cracks softly. The earth cools beneath your back. The village holds its breath. The world waits. And slowly, you drift. The days move forward, but not in the way they used to. You feel it in the rhythm of the village. The work continues, the fields are tended, the animals fed, the fires lit at dawn and left to burn through the cool evenings. But beneath it all, something has changed. The silence is different now. Not the peaceful kind, not the gentle stillness you once knew. This is the kind of quiet that sits low in the stomach, the kind that waits for something heavy to fall. Your father sharpens tools that are no longer just for farming. You see it in the edges he gives to the blades, the way he tests the weight of the axe, the careful attention to the spear tips. Your mother sews thick seams into old wool, stitching extra leather patches over the shoulders of cloaks, not for beauty, for protection. The women gathered together in small circles, exchanging old iron, spare bone needles, strips of hide, making what they can from what little remains. No one says aloud what they are doing. They don't have to. The meetings grow larger now. At first, just the men, then the women too. Even the elders who once spoke for caution now sit quietly, listening more than they speak. The young warriors speak the most, voices hard, eyes shining beneath firelight. They think we are soft, one says. They think we forgot how to fight. Another adds, let them see we are still Iceni. The words fill the circle like rising smoke. And still, Boudicca waits. She listens. Her daughters sit behind her now, silent but steady, their wounds still healing but their eyes unbroken. Boudicca doesn't shout. She doesn't pound her fist. Her strength isn't loud. But when she speaks, the entire village leans forward. We were patient, she says softly. We tried their peace. We paid their price. We bent and bent and bent. She pauses. And now we break. A quiet hum ripples through the gathering. No cheering, not yet. Because they all know what this means. This isn't the beginning of victory. This is the start of something that may destroy them all. The messenger from the Trinobantes arrives on the third morning. Dust clings thick to his legs, his breath sharp as he speaks. They are ready. You hear the names again, the tribes who will rise with you, the ones who have waited as long, the ones who have lost as much. You glance at your father. He meets your eyes briefly, his expression unreadable. But his hands clench slightly at his sides. The weight shifts again. The storm presses closer. That afternoon, you help your father lead the horses into the woods. They'll be safer there, hidden beneath the thick trees. You tie them quietly, stroking their necks, whispering soft words into their ears. They sense it too. Their wide, dark eyes dart across the clearing. The woods carry a strange energy now. Not the soft life it once held, but something sharper beneath the trees. Like the whole forest is listening. Later that night, you sit outside alone. The stars hang above you, cold and bright. The constellations have become familiar companions, shapes you trace with your finger, stories you used to hear as a child. But tonight, they feel heavier too, like silent witnesses watching from a safe distance. They've seen others rise and fall before. You hear movement behind you. Your father sits down beside you without speaking. For a while, you both just sit, listening to the wind pressing softly through the grass. Then finally, he speaks. We always thought they would stop. You nod. We thought if we gave enough, they would be satisfied. His voice is calm, but carries a quiet ache. They were never here to share, only to take. The words hang in the night air. Simple, true. You feel the weight of them in your chest. He reaches into a small leather pouch and pulls out a worn pendant. An old piece, a simple carving of twisted lines, the kind the Druids once made, the kind now banned by Roman law. He presses it into your hand. This was my father's, and his before him. You close your fingers around the cool wood. He continues, this land is older than them, older than their stones, older than their gods. You nod again. You feel it. The earth beneath your feet seems to hum softly in agreement. The wind shifts. You smell smoke on the air, not from your own fires, from theirs. From the Roman camp, distant but close enough to remind you they still watch, still hold their walls, still believe they control the world beyond. They do not see what's growing. Not yet. As you lie back, staring upward, the clouds begin to drift apart. The stars blink brighter now. The hunter, the great bear, the serpent curling between them. You breathe slowly. The earth cools beneath your back. The fire behind you cracks once, then fades into steady quiet. The storm waits beyond the hills, and you drift.
The rain comes quietly during the night. By morning, the village is soft beneath your feet. The grass glistens with fresh drops. The damp air carries the smell of wet earth and moss. You step outside, pulling your cloak tighter. The clouds sit low and heavy, pressing against the tops of the distant hills like a weight that has no intention of lifting. The world feels smaller this morning, but not quieter. Not anymore. The village is awake before the sun fully rises. The fires burn hotter today. Not for warmth, for forging. You hear the hammer strikes long before you see them. Sharp, steady beats echo across the roundhouses, bouncing against the thick morning air. You follow the sound to the far side of the village. The blacksmith's hands move fast. Sparks rise in brief, wild bursts as his hammer meets glowing metal. Behind him, lines of young men carry pieces of iron, old farming tools, reshaped into something else. Hooks, axes, spears, anything that can be sharpened, anything that can be held. You watch your father bring him a worn sickle, once used for harvesting wheat. Now it will harvest something else. The blacksmith says nothing as he takes it. He needs no instruction. He knows exactly what to do. The elders no longer meet in secret. The village gathers openly now, circling around Boudicca as she stands beneath the old oak tree. The children sit near their mothers. The warriors stand shoulder to shoulder. The traders, the farmers, the herders, all present. No one hides anymore, because there is nothing left to protect by staying silent. Boudicca's voice carries easily, even without shouting. Our peace was not weakness, she says calmly. It was mercy. The villagers listen. But mercy requires honor, she pauses. And they have none. You see her daughters standing behind her, their eyes steady. She continues. They have taken our land, our gold, our laws, our dead, and now our dignity. Her voice lowers, sharper now. No more. The wind stirs through the oak leaves above. The village breathes together. You feel your chest tighten, not with fear, but with something older, deeper. Pride. Resolve. A soft hum rises from the crowd, not cheering, but agreement. A quiet answer rising up from the soil itself. The messenger from the Trinoventes steps forward again. He nods once toward Boudicca. Our warriors wait just beyond the forest. We are ready. Other messengers arrive behind him, from the Dobuni to Cornovi, the Salures, tribes you've only heard stories of before. Each one nods. The circle grows wider. The fire grows hotter. The ground beneath you seems to pulse. The first war party leaves at dusk. Small groups move like shadows into the trees, slipping through narrow paths, guiding horses, carrying simple weapons wrapped in cloth. You watch them disappear into the forest. More will follow. You will follow. That night, you sit outside again, staring at the dark line of trees that now hides more than deer and foxes. It hides warriors. It hides anger.
It hides an old world that has decided it will not die quietly. Your father sits beside you, quietly, checking the leather straps on a small round shield. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The shield's surface is worn, but solid. The wood still holds firm beneath his hands. Finally, he offers it to you. You take it. The weight surprises you, not because it's heavy, but because it feels real in a way nothing else ever has. This is not a tool. This is not for fishing or farming. This is for standing your ground. The stars blink through thin gaps in the clouds. You trace the shapes again, but tonight they feel closer. The hunter's bow, the curling serpent, the endless spiral of the great bear. They have seen this before. They have watched other empires rise and fall. The fires burn lower now. The wind presses against your cloak. Somewhere deep in the forest, an owl calls once. The storm no longer waits on the horizon. It lives here now, among you. And you? You breathe deeply. You steady your grip on the small wooden shield.
The morning mist hangs thicker than usual. You step carefully along the path that winds through the woods, the damp leaves brushing your legs, the cool air pressing softly against your skin. You aren't alone. Not anymore. The others move silently beside you, a long line of men, women, and horses threading between the trees. The quiet is not awkward. It is practiced, necessary. Each person carries something: bundles of weapons wrapped in cloth, baskets of supplies, leather water skins tied at their sides. Ahead of you, the world begins to change. The ground slopes gently downward, opening toward a wide plain. In the distance, you can see the faint shapes rising out of the fog. Stone walls, tiled roofs, Roman columns, Camuludanum. You've heard stories about this place since you were small. The Roman capital of Britannia, their proud city, their symbol of power. Here, they built their temples to their emperor. Here, they settled their soldiers' families. Here, they paved their roads thicker and stronger than anywhere else. This is where it began, and this is where it will begin again. You glance at your father walking beside you. He carries no spear today, only the short axe he once used to cut firewood. But his face is steady, his breath calm, his steps sure, the same as the others. This isn't a rush of wild fury. It's something colder, something heavier. The forest thins as you approach. The war bands gather at the edges of the open ground, forming tight clusters beneath the trees. You see other tribes you've never met in person, men with painted faces, women carrying baskets of stones for the slings. Children sit close to their mothers, watching the adults work with wide, silent eyes. Boudicca stands at the front. Her tall figure cuts clean through the morning fog, her long red braids catching faint streaks of early light. She doesn't speak yet. She waits. The scouts return. You hear their soft reports passed quietly from mouth to ear. The Romans inside are not ready. There are few soldiers left here. Most have marched north with the governor to chase the Druids in the distant mountains. What remains behind are civilians, settlers, officials, merchants, the proud Roman families who believed their walls would protect them, the same families who laughed when your people paid their taxes, the same ones who built their temple to the emperor on your stolen ground. You feel your breath slow. This is not battle. Not yet. This is something else. Boudicca steps forward, raising one hand. The wind picks up as if answering. Her voice cuts softly through the waiting air. They thought we would kneel forever. She turns, looking back across the gathered tribes. They thought we would forget. The faces around you hold steady. No shouting. No noise. Only the weight of her words. We were quiet long enough, she continues. They will hear us now. She lowers her arm. The signal is given. The war bands move forward, not in a charge, not in wild screaming, but like the sea rising slowly against a shore, deliberate, heavy, unstoppable. You walk with them. Your feet press into soft earth as you cross from forest into open fields. The Roman city grows clearer now. The walls aren't high. Their strength was never in the stone. It was in the belief that your people wouldn't dare. That belief breaks with every step you take. As you near the gates, you see them. Roman citizens running along the walls, shouting in panic. Their guards scramble to prepare, a few soldiers with shiny armor and short swords rushing to close the gates. But it's too late. The gates give way under the first wave. Not from fire, not from siege engines, not from clever tricks. From weight, from pressure, from hands pulling stone and wood apart with steady, angry patience. The walls are not built for this. The city folds inward. You stay behind as the first groups pour inside. The clash of metal rings faintly across the fields. You hear cries rise, but you don't rush. You stand, gripping your shield, breathing slowly. You see smoke begin to twist upward as thatched roofs catch fire inside the city. The old temple to the emperor rises high above the flames for a moment. Then its stone cracks, and the flames climb higher. The others watch from behind you, mothers holding their children tight, elders gripping walking sticks as if to steady their own hearts. You feel their breath at your back. No one cheers. There is no triumph here, only release. By nightfall, the fires still burn. Camulodunum glows against the dark horizon like a wound torn open. The warbands return from inside, carrying what little was left unburned. Food, iron, cloth. No gold. The Romans took that long ago. Boudicca stands at the front once more. Her face is calm, her eyes steady. She doesn't smile, because this is not victory, not yet. This is only a message, a beginning. You sit quietly beside your father as the embers rise into the night sky. The wind carries the faint scent of burnt oak and scorched stone. The stars blink through thin smoke. Your brother leans against you, breathing softly. You stare upward. The world feels different now, not because you have won, but because you have stepped beyond the line. There is no turning back. The Romans will return. You know this. Everyone does. But tonight is not theirs. Tonight belongs to the people who refuse to vanish. You close your eyes. The ground cool beneath your back. The sky breathes above you. And slowly, you drift.
The morning feels heavier. The smoke still hangs across the horizon, drifting like low clouds across the distant hills. The fires from Camulodunum still glow faint in the distance, though most of the city has already collapsed into itself. You stand quietly at the edge of the field. The others gather nearby, some sitting, some standing, some simply watching the last wisps of flame twisting upward. No one speaks of victory. No one laughs. Because this isn't over. Not even close. Boudicca moves through the camp early, speaking quietly with the gathered leaders. The tribes have grown larger now. Word spreads quickly. More banners join the circle each day. The Trinovantes, the Dobuni, the Cornavi, the Silures. Names you once heard only in stories. Now they stand here beside you. The circle grows wider. The fire moves forward. Your father returns from one of the meetings. He sits beside you, placing a rough hand on your shoulder. You glance at him. They've agreed, he says softly. You nod. You already know what he means. The army will march again. The Romans did not respond to Camulodunum. Not yet, but they will. You feel it hanging in the air, pressing down with the weight of something large and distant, drawing closer. The storm hasn't broken yet. It's only gathered. The march begins at sunrise. The warbands pull away from the burned fields, moving like slow rivers across the open land. You walk alongside your father, your shield strapped to your arm, your feet pressing into the soft earth with every step. The horses move near the rear, loaded with supplies, sacks of grain, water skins, bundles of newly made weapons. The children ride in simple carts, quiet but alert. The women walk in tight groups, carrying baskets of stones for the slings, long knives tied to their belts. No one jokes, no one sings, but no one turns back. The roads the Romans built now serve you. Their flat stones make the march easier, faster. You feel a strange satisfaction pressing your feet against them. These roads meant for their trade, their soldiers, their wealth, now carrying the people they tried to rule. The irony is quiet but sharp. By late afternoon, you reach the edge of the forest. You pause at the top of a low hill. Below you, far in the distance, lies Londinium. The Roman town glistens beneath the afternoon sun. Thin threads of smoke rise from cook fires. Boats drift slowly along the river's edge, their white sails catching the wind. You can see their stone walls, their red roofs, their tall temple columns reaching upward like thin fingers. The merchants walk freely through the markets. The Roman settlers fill the streets. The soldiers guard the gates casually. They don't know. Not yet. They don't believe you would dare come this far. But you have. The leaders gather again as the sun lowers behind the hills. You stand behind your father, listening. The governor is still far north, one man says. They won't expect us to strike so soon. Another agrees. We move before they gather strength. There will be no mercy this time. The circle nods. Boudicca remains silent for a long moment. Then she speaks. They showed no mercy to our daughters, she says softly. The words are not shouted, but they are felt. You sit near the fires that night. The air smells of damp earth, burned wood, and fresh grass. Your brother leans against you again, his small hand wrapped around your arm. The sky above you is wide and clear,
the stars scattered like tiny white embers. You stare at them, tracing familiar patterns. The hunter, the bear, the curling serpent. You whisper your brother's name softly under your breath. Just once. Not for comfort, but for grounding. For belonging. The camp hums with soft movement around you. Low voices, the quiet shuffle of boots, the clinking of metal as warriors sharpen blades. Children whisper softly beneath blankets. The world breathes as one, waiting. Tomorrow you will reach Londinium, another Roman city, another wound cut deep into this land. But tonight you are here. The fires burn low. The grass cools beneath your legs. The stars remain steady.
The morning light breaks through thin clouds, casting long beams across the fields as you march. Londinium grows larger with every step. The Roman city stands quietly below, wrapped in its stone walls, resting along the curve of the river like a fat merchant who believes he cannot be touched. Its towers shine in the early sun, its markets hum with trade, its boats drift lazily along the water, as if nothing is waiting just beyond the hills, as if the world hasn't shifted. The march slows as you approach the edge of the forest. The warbands spread out across the high ground watching the Roman streets from a safe distance. You see children playing near the market stalls. Women carry baskets of goods between narrow stone streets. Roman merchants haggle over prices. You even hear faint bursts of laughter drifting on the wind. The city doesn't know. Not yet. Boudicca stands ahead, her cloak catching the breeze, her long red braids shifting with each gust of wind. Her daughters stand beside her, silent, steady. Around you, the warriors wait in a heavy silence. It isn't the silence of fear. It's the silence before a flood, the kind of silence that carries weight. The leaders speak again in low voices. The garrison is small. The governor left weeks ago. They think we will stay in our fields. They are wrong. Boudicca's voice rises softly across the gathering. They built these walls on our soil, she says. They raised their gods over our gods. They took what was never theirs. The wind shifts. We take it back. The signal passes quietly. The warbands begin to move. Not with chaos. Not with wild screams. With steady, deliberate steps. Like heavy rain that does not stop. You move with them. The first gates fall quickly. The few soldiers remaining are overwhelmed before they can fully form their ranks. Some try to flee toward the ships. Others hide in the temples. The merchants scatter through the narrow streets. The settlers' screams rise and fall like broken waves against stone. You move carefully through the streets, your shield close, your breath steady. This city feels smaller now that you stand inside it. The stone buildings press inward. The temples rise tall but hollow. The shops lie abandoned. This city was never built for you. It was never meant to be shared. It was built for them, to show power, to claim ownership, to rewrite the ground beneath your feet. The warbands spread through the streets. Fires spark along rooftops as thatch catches flame. Smoke rises in long black ribbons, curling into the pale sky. You hear the dull crack of timber beams collapsing. The stone columns stand longer, but even they will fall. You pass one of the Roman temples. The statue inside stares down at you. Cold marble eyes set into a pale face of the emperor. You meet its gaze for a moment, unblinking, unmoved. This god does not bleed, but its worshippers do, and their empire is not as solid as its stone. The fires grow larger by afternoon. The wind carries smoke out across the river, where Roman ships still sit tied along the docks. Some have managed to flee downriver. Most have not. By nightfall, Londinium's quiet. Its proud columns crumble beneath fresh piles of ash. The markets stand hollow. The streets run dark. The city that once glittered under Rome's banner now lies broken under your feet. But still no one celebrates, because this is not joy. This is survival. This is what happens when silence is ignored for too long. The camp reforms outside the burned city. The warbands gather once more. More tribes arrive. The circle grows larger. You sit beside your father at the edge of the camp, watching the faint glow of remaining fires flicker across the distant ruins. The air smells of wet ash and scorched earth. The river hums softly behind you. Your brother lies sleeping beneath your arm. The stars blink through thin ribbons of smoke. You trace them quietly with your finger. The hunter's bow, the bear's path, the curling snake. They watch you from above, silent, steady. You wonder how many times they have seen this before. Empires rise, empires burn, and the earth remains. Your father finally speaks beside you. They will come now, he says softly. You nod. They will gather every soldier they have. You both know it's true. The Roman army will not remain scattered forever. Their patience is longer. Their reach is wider. But you are no longer waiting. You have forced them to move, and now they must answer. The night wraps around you. The fires crack gently behind your back. The ground cools beneath you. The wind hums like a slow breath. the camp moves again. By now, the rhythm feels almost familiar, though nothing about it is truly routine. The war bands pack quickly, lifting woven baskets onto carts, tightening leather straps around bundles of weapons, guiding horses forward with quiet hands. The children help where they can, carrying small sacks of grain or coiled ropes. The women tighten cloaks around sleeping babies, tied gently to their backs. No one lingers. The fires burn down to faint embers behind you, leaving only thin gray trails drifting toward the sky. Ahead lies Verulamium, another Roman city, another scar on the land. The march stretches long across the plains. The sky above is pale and flat, thin clouds streaking the horizon. A cool wind presses softly against your face, carrying the scent of crushed grass and distant smoke. You walk beside your father again, the soft thud of your sandals beating a quiet rhythm against the packed earth. The wooden shield rests firm against your arm. The weight of it no longer feels strange. It belongs there now, as much as your tunic or your breath. You hear the soft shuffle of others around you, a slow tide of steady, quiet footsteps. No one speaks much during the march. There is little left to say. The road ahead curves gently along a low ridge. From the crest, you see it. Verulamium, another Roman town, smaller than Londinium, but built in the same way. Straight streets, tall stone columns, clay rooftops stretched across carefully ordered blocks. A Roman dream planted far from Rome. And like before, it waits quietly, blind to what's coming. You pause at the ridge. The others gather in small groups behind you, scanning the town below. You hear quiet murmurs passing from one warrior to another. They think we're still in Londinium. They expect us to hide in the forests. They're wrong again. Boudicca rides along the front line slowly, her hooves pressing softly into the damp grass. She says little, but her presence moves through the ranks like a steady hand guiding the wind. Her daughters ride behind her, wrapped in thick cloaks. You see her eyes scanning the city below. No panic, no triumph, only purpose. The leaders meet once more beneath a wide oak near the edge of the field. Your father joins them. You stay back with your brother, waiting. The voices carry softly on the breeze. They built temples here too. They claim this land as theirs. They raise statues to their gods on our soil. The words aren't new, but they feel heavier now. The burnings behind you are still fresh, and ahead lies more. Boudicca speaks again, her voice low but sharp. They are not afraid because they believe we cannot hold together. She pauses. They believe we are tribes, not a people. The circle listens closely. Let them see how wrong they are. The attack comes with the first light. Like before, it's not wild, not reckless. It is patient, deliberate. The gates fold beneath the pressure of the warbands. The few soldiers who remain scramble to form loose lines in the streets, but they are too few. The settlers run in every direction, their carts and goods abandoned in the open market. The streets fill with smoke as fires take hold. You move carefully through the narrow stone alleys, your breath steady, your shield close. The city folds quickly. The stone may have stood firm, but the people inside do not. By mid-morning, Verulamium is silent. The last columns crack beneath the growing flames. The proud Roman roads are blackened and scattered with broken tiles. The temples sag beneath the weight of their own stones. You stand at the center square, staring at the ruined remains. The statue of the emperor has already fallen, his carved marble head now lying sideways in the dirt, half buried, the blank eyes staring toward nothing. You step closer. Your father stands beside you, watching quietly. For a long moment, neither of you speak. Then, finally, he says softly,
They believed these stones would last forever. You nod and whisper beneath your breath, "Nothing does." By nightfall, the camp moves once more, pulling away from the blackened ruins. The warbands gather again on the hills, resting beneath the pale moonlight. The fires burn low. The embers rise like soft orange stars beneath the real stars overhead. The children sleep. The warriors sit in small circles, sharpening blades, checking straps, whispering to one another. But now, there's something different in the air. A weight. Not fear, not regret, but the knowledge of what comes next. The Romans will no longer be slow. You feel it in the eyes of the elders. You see it in the way Boudicca moves through the camp, not anxious, but sharper. The rebellion has reached its furthest edge. The empire will respond, and when it does, it will not arrive politely. You sit back against your pack, your brother resting softly beside you, his breath slow against your arm. The stars above remain steady, silent, distant. You whisper your brother's name once, just to hear it leave your mouth. A reminder that you are still here, that you still hold something beyond the fires and the stones. The earth cools beneath you. The fires hum softly. The camp breathes.
The winds shift. You feel it before you see anything. The air carries it differently now. Not the scent of distant smoke or burned timber, but something sharper, like cold iron pressing into warm earth. The roar bands move quietly across the open hills, but the conversations have changed. No more talk of which towns lie ahead. No more countings of Roman cities to burn. Now the question is different. When will they come? And beneath every voice, the silent truth, they are coming. By midday, scouts return. Their faces are tight, their voices low. They gather near the river, north of here. Thousands of them. Legions. You feel your stomach tighten. The leaders meet again beneath the oak trees, but this council feels different. The fire crackles, but no one stares into it tonight. Their eyes stay on each other. You stand at a distance with your father, listening carefully. The governor returns. Suetonius Paulinus. The name hangs like a weight in the air. He brings the full legions. They've left nothing behind. Even the garrisons have emptied. They want this finished. Your father's hand rests lightly on your shoulder. His voice is low. They finally understand. You nod. But understanding means nothing now. The scouts continue to report as the day fades. They are smaller than us, one says. They have fewer men. They hope their formation will hold. You hear the numbers repeated softly. Fewer than 10,000 Romans, more than 20 times that standing against them. In any other world, this would not be a contest. In any other world, this would already be finished. But this is Rome, and Rome does not move like other men. Boudicca rides to the front again. Her voice is steady, but lower than before. She knows what waits ahead. We have shown them who we are, she says. We have taken back what they stole. The warriors nod. Her daughters sit quietly behind her, their eyes locked forward. We fight not because we believe we cannot fall. We fight because we refuse to kneel. You feel the weight of her words settle across your chest. This isn't rage. This isn't even revenge. It's something older. The kind of truth that grows from the earth itself. A refusal to disappear. The march slows as you move closer to where the Roman forces gather. The scouts describe the place. A narrow clearing surrounded by thick trees, a single road running through, a place where Rome can form its line, tight, locked, disciplined. The legions wait inside that narrow space like a coiled blade. Your warbands hold on the ridge. The leaders spread maps drawn in charcoal across simple cloth. They want us to charge, one says. They have nowhere to retreat. They want us to rush forward. They believe we will. You sit beside your father that night, sharpening a small blade across a flat stone. The steady rhythm fills the space between you. The stars blink above, sharp and cold. Your brother sleeps wrapped tightly in a blanket beside your feet. The wind carries soft voices from other camps as warriors prepare quietly. Not with laughter, not with fear, just preparation. Your father speaks softly. The Romans don't stand because they're brave. You glance at him. They stand because they've done this before. His words sink into you. They've seen others rise, others fall. This is not their first rebellion. You nod, though your stomach tightens again. You feel the truth of it. The weight of Rome isn't in its numbers. It's in its patience, in its cold memory. The fires burn lower as the camp settles. You stare at the sky once more, tracing your familiar shapes. The hunter, the bear, the serpent twisting across the dark. You whisper your brother's name softly, not for luck, just so the earth remembers. Tomorrow you will march again, not to burn another city, but to face the weight that was always coming, the real weight. The reason your people have waited for generations to speak. The earth cools beneath your back. The last embers drift upward. The trees hum quietly in the wind. And slowly, The morning breaks colder than before. The sky hangs heavy with pale clouds. The wind moves gently across the tall grass, carrying faint threads of smoke from the camps behind you. The warbands form quietly, their lines stretching wide across the open field. No shouting, no noise, just movement. Steady, deliberate. You march again beside your father. The road beneath you narrows now, pressed tight between rising hills and thick trees. The Romans chose their place well. A narrow funnel, a wall of trees behind them protecting their flanks. One entrance, one exit. You feel the shift in the air as you march. The warriors around you speak less now. The younger ones grip their weapons tighter. The older ones simply breathe. Your own shield presses steady against your arm, its worn leather straps familiar beneath your fingers. The rhythm of your steps feels heavier than before. Each footfall, like a quiet drum beat, echoing inside your chest. You crest the final rise. The Roman army comes into view. Not many, no more than 10,000, as the scouts had said, but they stand like stone. Tight rows, locked shields, short swords resting at their sides. Their banners flutter softly in the wind, red cloth snapping gently like thin flags of warning. The legions form a perfect wedge. Their formation narrows toward the mouth of the road. Behind them, the forest waits, thick and dark. They have nowhere to flee. They will not retreat, and they know you cannot surround them here. They chose this place carefully. You pause, staring down at them. Their silence feels different than yours. Yours carries weight. Theirs carries calculation. Cold, precise. They don't fear your numbers, because numbers mean little to Rome. Your leaders gather again, speaking quietly beneath the wind. You watch Boudicca ride forward. She sits high in her saddle, her cloak draped across her shoulders, her red braids bright against the gray morning. Her daughters sit behind her, as always, silent, steady. She does not speak long this time. Her words float softly across the gathered tribes. "This is where they finally stand," she says. Her voice does not tremble. "This is where we make them listen." She pauses. They believe iron walls and tight lines will hold against what they cannot understand. Her voice lowers. They do not understand what it means to lose a home. The warbands shift around you, spreading wider, pressing forward. The carts of supplies pull further back, along the ridge. You see the mothers tying cloaks tighter around their little ones. The elders sit in silence, watching. They do not speak. There is nothing left to say. You sit quietly beside your father as final preparations unfold. He sharpens a blade across smooth stone, slow and patient. The sound of it slides like soft whispers through the air. Your brother sits nearby, eyes wide but calm, clutching a small wooden charm in both hands. You reach out and rest your hand on his shoulder. He leans into you. The weight of his small body reminds you of everything beyond this field, beyond the shields, beyond the legions, beyond the fire. The wind shifts. You smell pine from the trees behind the Roman lines. Birds scatter above the forest edge, startled by distant movement. But still, the legions hold. Their shields glint under the pale sky. Their discipline does not waver. You study their faces from afar. The front rows stand motionless. The veterans hold firm, their short swords ready. No fear, no panic, just readiness. The weight of experience,
of countless campaigns. The world narrows in these moments. The wide rebellion that once swept through villages and cities has now compressed into this narrow field. All the burned towns, all the stolen gold, all the broken families, all the children watching from behind. Everything stands here now, pressed into this single road. You glance again at your father. He breathes deeply. His eyes stay steady on the Roman line. He speaks softly, barely more than a whisper. They built their empire on the idea that we would never stand together. You nod. His voice lowers even more. Now they see. The first horns sound softly behind you. Not sharp, not rushed, just signals. The war bands begin to shift forward, slowly filling the open space. The carts of supplies pull further back. The women gather together, steadying the children. The elders watch quietly. You adjust your grip on the shield. The wood feels warm beneath your palm. The leather straps creak gently. Your breathing stays even. The soft hum of wind presses against your ears. You stare ahead at the wall of shields waiting for you. The battle waits, not rushing towards you, not pulling away, just waiting. Both sides holding breath. The world folds smaller, quieter. You look up one last time at the sky. The stars are faint beneath the daylight, but you know where they sit. The hunter, the bear, the serpent. They watch, as they always do, silent, steady, witnesses to what is and what always returns. The wind brushes gently against your cheek. The fires hum behind you. Your brother's small hand squeezes your arm. The world breathes, and slowly,
The first horn echoes softly across the field. It doesn't scream. It simply speaks. A signal, a breath, a beginning. You tighten your grip on the shield, feeling the worn leather press against your palm. The ground beneath your sandals is dry, soft with loose dust. Each small movement kicks a faint cloud into the morning air. Around you, thousands move together. A wide tide pressing slowly forward. Not rushing, not storming, simply moving. The Roman line waits ahead. Their shields lock tighter. The wall of iron glints beneath the pale sun. Red banners lift gently on the breeze. They do not flinch. They do not shift. They simply wait, as if they have been waiting for years. The warbands move closer, filling the wide open space. The weight of so many feet feels like thunder trapped beneath the ground. But there is no roar, no screaming, only a low hum of breath and quiet footsteps pressing forward. The children, far behind with the wagons, sit wrapped in cloaks, their small eyes wide but silent. The mothers hold them gently. The elders sit together, watching, waiting. You glance at your father. He walks steadily beside you. His eyes are calm, his shoulders set. The wooden axe rests in his hand, blade freshly sharpened. Not trembling, not tense, simply ready. As you draw closer, you see the Romans more clearly. The front row stands firm. Their faces are tight, but not afraid. Their short swords remain sheathed for now. Their shields form a perfect wall, wide and heavy. The second row stands just behind them, spears pointed upward at a sharp angle, like 1,000 silent teeth, waiting. Their discipline feels heavy, dense, solid. The space between you narrows. You feel it closing around your chest, like two hands slowly pressing inward. Not crushing, just firm. The first contact is gentle. A small ripple as the front edges of the warbands press against the Roman shields. The noise is strange. Not loud, not sharp. More like thick wood pressing against iron. A soft groan of weight. The Romans hold. Their shields absorb the first weight easily. You feel the push travel back through the lines like a slow wave, rippling softly through the bodies around you. No sudden cries, no rushing, just pressure. Two great bodies pressing against each other. One solid wall of experience, one rising tide of fury. The warbands lean harder. More pressure. The Romans answer by locking tighter. Their line bends, but only slightly, like a strong branch that flexes before it snaps. But it does not snap. Not yet. You hear short commands from behind the Roman wall. Latin words, crisp, calm, meant for the men inside the shields. The soldiers obey like water flowing through a carved channel. Controlled, precise. Your warband presses forward again. A second wave of weight pushes into the wall. More shields squeeze tighter together. More bodies press against each other. Breaths grow heavier. The air fills with heat. Not the heat of fire. The heat of bodies packed too tightly under the sun. Small pockets of shouting begin along the edges. Not rage, not panic, just noise. The kind that happens when arms tire, when shields slip slightly, when men adjust their footing. But still, the wall holds. You brace your shield as the weight presses back against you. Your legs adjust automatically. Your breath deepens. The leather of the strap creaks softly in your ear. Your father still stands beside you, shoulder steady against yours. The wooden axe rests ready, but unused, waiting for the line to break. The Romans do not break. Their line breathes together, expanding, contracting, adjusting, but never splitting. You can feel the way they move as one body. Not thousands of men, one machine, one single thought. The sun climbs higher, the air thickens, sweat slides down your back beneath your tunic. The dust kicks up higher as feet shift and shuffle. The quiet becomes strange. Even with thousands of men pressed together, the noise remains soft. Breath, groans, the gentle slap of leather, and underneath it all, waiting. You glance again at the Roman wall. Their faces remain tight. Their eyes flicker only slightly. Their spears lower just a fraction. Not to attack, simply preparing. Waiting for you to break first. The war band shifts again. Another slow push forward. Another gentle ripple of weight. You feel your own shoulder squeeze tighter against your father's. His breath remains calm, his feet planted. The world shrinks to the few feet directly in front of you. You see only the wide, round iron shields pressed ahead, the polished bronze of Roman helmets, the brief flicker of sweat sliding down a soldier's jaw, the way their fingers flex on sword hilts, the smallest signs of waiting. You close your eyes for a moment, not out of fear, out of focus. You listen to the breathing, to the wind, to the quiet shuffling of thousands pressed into this narrow road. The stars, hidden behind the bright sky, remain steady above you. You know where they sit. The hunter, the bear, the coiled serpent. They have watched armies like this before. They have watched fields pressed full of...
The sound changes before anything else. You hear it in small cracks. The creak of bending wood, the low groan of shields grinding against one another, the heavy breathing pressed tightly between thousands of bodies. The two armies breathe together now. Inhale, exhale, press, hold. The weight moves like slow waves, pushing, pulling, testing. Your shoulder aches. Your arm strains against the tight grip of your shield. Your feet adjust again and again, small shifts to keep balance under the shifting mass. Around you, thousands do the same. You hear grunts, short commands, the dull clap of sandals scraping over stone and dirt. The Romans hold their shape, but their formation tightens. Their shields flex under the pressure. Small adjustments. Not weakness, but strain. You feel it. The warbands press harder. The front ranks lean their full weight forward. The backs push into the fronts, adding more force. Slow, heavy, like a great stone being nudged inch by inch. The Romans answer in silence. Their shields press back. Their short swords remain ready, tucked behind the wall of iron. They wait. They always wait. Your father glances sideways, his voice barely a whisper. They want us to tire. You nod. You feel the truth of it inside your ribs. They have seen other uprisings, other charges, other floods of wild force. And they know the wildest storm eventually empties itself. If it cannot break the wall, it only wears itself down. The warbands do not scream. They don't rush. But you can feel impatience beginning to hum through the bodies pressed around you. You feel the shoulders tighten. The breathing grow sharper. The small sounds of frustration curling in the mouths of the young warriors behind you. A sudden movement ripples from the Roman side. The front shields push forward in one sharp, practiced surge. Not an attack, just a breath of power. It knocks the front warbands back half a step. Small, but sharp. The first Roman spears lower as one. The wall holds its shape. A reminder. They are still in control. You lean forward again. Your back muscles burn. The leather strap across your arm digs deeper into your skin. You can feel your father's steady breath beside you. The axe remains firm in his hand, still waiting. The sound grows thicker as the struggle continues. Not louder, just fuller. Like deep water pressing against rock. Neither side breaks, but the strain grows. You feel sweat slide down your temples, dripping into the collar of your tunic. The dust rises higher. The sunlight cuts through it like thin blades, shining across tight faces, across helmets, across spears that wait to be used. Then, a shift. Small at first, far off along the right flank. You hear a brief cry, not a scream, but a sharp voice cracking through the thick air. A shield slips. A spear strikes. You see bodies lurch slightly. The Roman line absorbs it, closes, swallows the gap. But now you feel it too. The first crack. Not a hole, but a weakness. The warbands surge slightly harder. The weight presses deeper. The front ranks bend forward into the shield wall. The Romans answer with another sharp push. Their line breathes as one, but even perfect machines feel strain when pressed long enough. The sun hangs directly above now. The sky pale. The air thick. The ground beneath your feet has grown slippery with sweat, blood, and crushed earth. The smell fills your nostrils. Not sharp, just heavy. You hear the elders behind you humming low songs. Not chants, not battle cries. Just old songs of the land, of home, of belonging. Soft, steady reminders that what lives beneath this soil matters more than what stands upon it. You steal a quick glance upward.
The weight has been pressing for hours. The sun has climbed high, sliding slowly toward afternoon. The heat clings to your skin now, thicker than before. Sweat soaks the edge of your tunic. Your muscles burn. But your feet remain planted. The shield still presses firm against your arm. You breathe carefully, deep, steady, quiet. Not because you're calm, but because you must be. Around you, thousands do the same. No shouting, no panic, no retreat. Only steady pressure. An entire wall of bodies leaning into another. The Romans hold. Their shields stay locked, tight as ever. Their spears hover, waiting. Their short swords remain close, untouched by panic. But you can feel it now. The difference. The tiny shifts inside their line. The moments when hands adjust too quickly. When shoulders sag slightly. When helmets tilt back to gasp for breath. It's not visible from afar, But here, close enough to see their eyes, you feel it. The pressure is working. Your father shifts beside you, not moving his feet, just his breath. He feels it too. The smallest fracture forming, not yet broken, but bending. The Roman horn sounds. Short, sharp. Their front shields push forward again in unison. The line tightens. A single sharp wave of movement. It knocks the front ranks of your warband half a step back. You stumble slightly, regaining balance. But this time when they push, you see something new. A moment's delay behind them. A tiny hesitation before the second row adjusts. Not much, but enough. The wall isn't as perfect as it was. The warbands press forward once more. The weight grows heavier. Bodies slam tighter against the Roman line. The sound shifts. The dull groan of shield against shield now cracks louder. You hear the wood strain, the iron flex. The first splinters break along the edges. You don't see wild gaps. Not yet. But the Romans shift more now. Their line breathes harder. Their veterans shout brief commands to one another. Their polished discipline fights to hold against what grows heavier by the minute. The warriors behind you press harder now. You feel their weight at your back. You feel the ground vibrate beneath your sandals. The world tightens, shrinks, becomes only this moment, the press of shoulders, the smell of sweat and dust, the sounds of strained leather and grinding wood. The forest behind the Romans remains quiet, a solid wall of trees that allows them no retreat. They have nowhere to fall back, and you have nowhere to fall away. The women far behind begin humming again. Soft songs, low, steady voices. The children remain enwrapped in thick cloaks, clinging to their mother's arms, watching silently. The elders sit beneath the carts, their eyes heavy, but unblinking. Your father leans close. His voice is barely a breath. They feel it. You nod. They will not show it yet, he says, but they feel it. You glance sideways. Down the long curve of the Roman line, you see small breaks along the flanks. Not open holes, but uneven shoulders. Awkward shifts. One soldier adjusts his shield too quickly. Another loses his balance slightly before correcting. A third reaches briefly for a weapon not yet needed. These are not signs of collapse, but they are signs of weight. The warbands do not rush forward. No one charges wildly. The slow press continues, inch by inch, step by step. Heavy, quiet, unstoppable. The sound becomes a kind of breathing, a low, grinding pulse between two bodies locked in a long...
The sun begins to lower. The long hours of pressing have drained the air of its softness. The dust hangs thicker now. The sweat on your skin dries quickly beneath the wind. But still, you press forward. Thousands of bodies move as one slow tide. No shouting, no wild surges, just weight. Heavy, constant. The Roman wall remains tight, but you feel it bending. The soldiers shift more now. Their helmets tick back more often. Their shoulders adjust. Their shields scrape harder against one another. Their breath grows louder. Not panicked, not broken, but tired. Your arm burns beneath the weight of your shield. Your feet ache from long hours of steady pressure, but your breath remains slow. You listen carefully to the rhythm. The groan of shields, the whisper of sandals scraping earth, the faint hum of elders singing far behind.
And then it happens. Small, almost silent. A single Roman soldier, 2 rows ahead of you, slips. The ground beneath his sandal crumbles slightly beneath loose dirt. His shield shifts just a fraction to the side. The soldier beside him leans quickly to cover the small gap. But that small gap ripples outward like a wave in a still pond. Your warband leans forward at once, feeling the weakness. Not with rage, not with wild shouting, just with silent, heavy force. The front line presses their full weight into the shifted shield. A crack forms. Not a hole, but a line bending where it once stood straight. The Romans shout sharp commands. Their second row pushes forward. They adjust. The gap narrows, but it doesn't fully close. The crack remains. Thin, but real. Your father breathes beside you. His voice is a whisper. There. You nod. The others feel it too. The bodies behind you surge forward, pressing tighter. The front rows push with renewed weight. The Romans absorb it again. But now their adjustments come slower. The pressure continues. You lean harder into the shield, feeling its wooden face groan beneath your arm. The air grows warmer with each breath. The dust burns softly in your lungs, but the crack spreads. Tiny shifts, small missteps, a line no longer perfectly straight. Further down the flank, another shield slips. You hear a short cry. A body stumbles, briefly breaking formation. The Roman wall adjusts again, locking into place, swallowing the moment. But the weight is growing heavier. Your father glances at you again. The wall remembers every push, he says softly. You feel it deep in your bones. Each small press leaves a mark. The cracks are not accidents. They are the memory of hours pressed beneath endless weight. You hear the songs behind you grow slightly louder now. The elders' voices hum steady. The children watch quietly from behind the carts, their small eyes wide. The women hold them closer. The wind carries the sound gently across the wide field. The Romans know. They feel it too. Their wall holds, but they know it cannot hold forever. The sun lowers behind the distant hills. Long shadows stretch across the locked lines. The light flashes off iron helmets. The spears dip slightly under the weight of tired arms. Even perfect machines grow warm when pressed too long. The ground beneath your feet vibrates with each new surge. The pressure builds once more. You feel your own weight sink lower into the earth as you press. The straps bite deeper into your shoulder. The shield's wooden face groans softly. The air hums with breathing. Your father speaks again, his voice even softer than before. Close. You nod. The word is simple. True. The wall holds, for now, but its skin is thin. You glance up at the sky. The first stars blink faintly into the pale evening. The hunter, the bear, the serpent, their silent eyes watching, witnessing, as they always do. You exhale slowly. The dust carries softly on the breeze. The fires flicker behind you. The world breathes.
The light fades into late afternoon. The shadows stretch longer across the field. Your breath moves heavier in your chest now, but your feet remain steady. The shield presses against your arm like it has for hours, familiar, solid. Around you, Thousands hold their line. The warbands stay pressed tight against the Roman wall. The sound is no longer quiet. It's not shouting, not screaming, but a low, constant grinding, like two heavy stones being rubbed together under growing pressure. The Roman front still holds. Their shields remain locked. Their formation stays tight. But now you see it clearly. The small wobbles, the uneven shoulders, the tiny gaps as tired arms adjust too late. You can almost feel the weight of their exhaustion pressing back against you. They have stood too long. Your father's voice drifts beside you, soft, steady. The stone always cracks before it breaks. You nod. Your own breath feels warm against your face. But you hold. You all hold, because you know what is coming. The warbands begin pressing harder now, not with wild force, but with the slow, rising confidence of bodies sensing weakness. The pressure grows dense. The entire front moves as one heavy wave, forcing every Roman shield an inch backward, and then another. A horn sounds behind the Roman line. Short, tense. The second rows shuffle forward, closing new gaps. Their voices are sharper now. Their commanders shout faster. You see panic flash briefly in the eyes of the younger Roman soldiers. Not fear of death, fear of collapse, fear of losing the order they've clung to for so long. On the far flank, a shield slips again. This time, the gap stays open longer. A brief hole, a moment's breath. Warriors pour weight into it instantly. The Roman line groans loudly. The second row moves to close it, but the movement ripples back through their formation. Their clean, sharp wall is no longer smooth. You feel the change like a pulse, a shift in the ground beneath your feet. The silent confidence they carried at dawn is gone. Now they are reacting. Now they are holding the wall not out of strength, but out of fear of letting it go. Your father breathes calmly beside you. They can no longer reset. You nod. They are chasing every crack now. The wall that once bent like living iron is stiffening. When a branch can no longer flex, it breaks. The warbands feel it too. You sense the quiet surge behind you. The warriors press harder. The weight grows. The momentum thickens. The breathing around you grows louder, still controlled, still steady, but heavier, fuller. The front of the Roman line shifts again. One shield clatters loudly as a soldier stumbles. His neighbor leans quickly, pressing into his side to cover him. The moment passes, but the noise carries. The warbands answer with a stronger surge. Not wild, still patient, but deliberate. The cracks are no longer hidden. You hear elders humming again behind you, low, steady voices that rise just beneath the sound of shifting shields. Songs of old stories, songs of the earth. They do not shout. They simply remind everyone who is listening, we are still here. The children remain wrapped tightly in cloaks. The mothers press them close beneath carts on the distant reg. They watch, wide-eyed, not with fear, but with quiet awe. The sun touches the edge of the hills now. The light turns golden, flashing sharply against the iron edges of helmets. The dust glows softly as it swirls around you. The Roman wall breathes again,
harder now. Their line adjusts in quick, uneven bursts, not the smooth discipline you saw hours ago. Now, it twitches, reacts. Each correction carries more panic, more small mistakes. The wall is still standing, but it is not whole. Your father leans closer once more. "Soon," he says softly. You nod. You feel it too. The pressure no longer flows equally. It's folding inward.
The final light slips low behind the distant hills. The battlefield breathes under long shadows. The wind softens. The dust thickens. You stand inside the pressure, not at its edge, but deep inside its weight. The air feels heavy, but no longer tense, not like before. Now something else fills the space between bodies. Expectation. A quiet knowing. The warbands press closer still, thousands of bodies shifting as one slow, heavy tide. The front shields lean harder into the Roman wall. Every shoulder carries the memory of hours. Every arm aches beneath weight and sweat. But the breathing behind you grows steadier, stronger. Ahead, the Roman line bends. Their discipline remains, but you see the tremble now. Tiny shakes in tired arms, quick glances between soldiers, small desperate shouts between officers. Their formation has narrowed so tightly that there is nowhere left to shift, no more space to adjust. They have become rigid, and rigid walls break. A horn sounds sharply from deep behind their line, not steady this time, not calm, urgent. Their commanders call for tighter ranks, but the bodies inside those ranks are worn. Their shields no longer move as one breath. Now they twitch, hesitate, correct. Your father breathes beside you, soft, calm. The stone is cracking. You nod. Another surge presses forward. You feel it beneath your sandals, the deep pulse of thousands leaning harder. The front shields knock sharply into the Roman wall. For a moment the line holds, but then one Roman shield slips sideways. A soldier stumbles. His neighbor adjusts too late. The gap opens like a thin tear in cloth, just wide enough. The warriors behind you respond instantly. They don't scream, they don't rush wildly, they simply press. Heavy, deliberate, full of every hour spent waiting for this moment. The thin gap stretches wider. A second shield slips. Another soldier falls backwards into the men behind him. The tight wedge of Roman discipline begins to unravel. The noise shifts completely. No longer steady grinding. Now sharp cracks. The dull thud of falling bodies. The metallic clang of weapons clattering to dirt. The front ranks of your warbands move into the open gap. Not wildly. Not recklessly. Just steady. Solid. One crack becomes two. Two widen into five. The Roman formation that held for so long is no longer a wall. It is fragments. You hear their officers shouting frantically in Latin, desperate to restore the shape that once seemed unbreakable. But the body can no longer respond. The men inside are too tired, their lines too bent, their confidence drained. What was once one is now many, scattered, unraveled. Your own feet move forward now, no longer pressing against resistance. The weight is shifted, the tide has turned, and for the first time today, you are not pressing, you are filling empty space. Your father's voice drifts beside you, softer than before. This is how the stone breaks. You nod. Your breath comes easier. The wall is gone. Around you, warriors move forward into widening gaps. The Roman soldiers fall back in desperate pockets, fighting to hold formation in smaller clusters. But there is nowhere to retreat. The forest behind them closes like dark curtains. Their backs press against trees. Their shields no longer fit together. Their spears waver. The perfect shape of the morning is gone. The warbands advance. Still no wild shouting, still no chaos, only the quiet, unstoppable press of people who have waited long enough. Behind you, you hear the soft hum of singing again. The elders' voices rise slightly, carrying through the thin, dusk air. The children sit quietly with wide eyes, watching the broken line dissolve beneath the fading light. The stars blink stronger now. The hunter watches. The bear walks his slow path. The serpent coils through the sky. Witnesses. The final fragments of the Roman formation collapse as evening swallows the field. The broken wedge becomes scattered figures pressed against trees, weapons falling to dirt, shields dropped at their sides. The perfect machine has become small, scattered pieces of metal and breath. You pause near the center of what was once their front line. Your father stands beside you, quiet. The battlefield hums with low voices. No cheering, no celebration, only relief. The weight has lifted. The silence feels strange after so many long hours of pressure. The wind brushes gently across your face. The fires flicker on the distant ridges. The earth cools beneath you as you shift your tired feet. Your brother's small voice hums softly behind you, the same quiet tune of the elders. The world breathes.
The sun slips completely beneath the hills. The last of its light fades into long streaks across the quiet sky. The wind softens. The dust settles. You stand inside the silence that follows. Not the silence of waiting. Not the silence of fear. This is something heavier. The silence after the weight has shifted. Around you, the war bands move slowly. No one rushes forward, no wild victory cries. The warriors step between scattered Roman shields, lying like broken shells in the dirt. Short swords glint where they have fallen. Spears lean against tree trunks, their points dull with dust. Bodies lie still across the crushed grass. Roman soldiers, their iron armor catching faint traces of starlight. The perfect wall that stood this morning is gone. Your father stands beside you, breathing deeply. His hand rests on the head of his wooden axe, the blade barely marked. The weight in his shoulders seems lighter now. Not lighter from joy, lighter from release. The kind that comes only after something long expected finally arrives. The war bands form loose circles now. Not in formation, not in celebration, simply gathering together, checking one another quietly, moving between small fires as the night cools the field. The elders moved through the camp with soft words, counting faces, placing hands on shoulders. The songs have stopped for now.
not from grief, but from quiet. A stillness earned. Far behind you, the children begin to sleep again, beneath thick cloaks. The mothers sit in small groups, whispering softly. The fires glow low. The smoke rises in thin, lazy ribbons toward the sky. The stars shine brighter now. The hunter, the bear, the serpent. Steady. Witnessing, as always. Your father speaks, his voice low. They thought the wall would hold forever. You nod. They always do. The other leaders gather near Boudicca. She stands quietly, her tall frame wrapped in her heavy cloak, her daughters at her sides. She speaks softly, not to rally, not to command, but simply to steady. Her voice carries gently through the night air. We did not rise to conquer, she says. We rose to remember. She pauses. To remind them that we were never gone. The others nod quietly. There are no cheers, no chants, just understanding. The kind of understanding shared between people who have carried heavy silence for too long. The Roman camp lies broken at the edge of the field. Their wagons overturned, their banners torn, their discipline scattered like leaves across the dirt. The forest behind them breathes again, no longer held tight by iron hands. You hear the soft rustle of branches swaying as wind moves freely through them once more. You sit beside your father now, near a small fire. The soft warmth glows against your face. The smell of burnt grass lingers beneath the cool wind. Your brother leans against your arm, already asleep, his breathing slow and steady. You pull the edge of his cloak higher across his shoulder. The small weight of his head reminds you again why you stood, why you pressed for so long, why you did not break. The warbands speak little as night deepens. The work is not finished, but this part is done. The wall has fallen. The weight has shifted. And the quiet returns. Your father watches the glowing coals as they hum softly. Rome will return. His voice is not fearful, simply honest. You nod. Yes. You both know their roads remain. Their empire is wide, their reach long, but tonight you have written something they cannot erase.
The night stretches wide. The fires burn low across the quiet camp. Only soft embers remain now, glowing gently in small circles beneath thick woolen cloaks. You sit close to the fading warmth, your brother still resting against your side, his small breath steady, warm against your arm. The battle lies behind you, but not far. The shapes of fallen shields and scattered spears still rest beneath the stars, silent reminders of everything that filled the long day. The war bands no longer speak much. The heavy work of the fight is finished. Now comes the weight beneath it, the part that doesn't leave bruises or cuts, but sits inside the chest. The quiet questions, the ones you've carried since long before today. Your father sits across the small fire, hands folded over his knees. His eyes trace the distant horizon where the Roman camp once stood. The forest behind it sways gently now, the branches no longer disturbed by armies pressing against their edges. The world feels larger again, wider. He speaks quietly. The stones they brought will remain. You nod. You both know. Even though the soldiers fell, even though the wall cracked, the roads still cut across your land like long gray scars. The temples they built still stand in other towns. Their coins still pass through markets. The empire has not vanished, only bent, only reminded. But so will we, your father adds softly. You glance up. His voice carries more weight now. Not anger, not pride, just truth. We will remain. The rebellion was never about conquering Rome. It was about being seen, about refusing to be erased, about showing your children, your brother, his children after him, and those beyond, that your people stood when the world expected them to kneel. The camp breathes softly behind you. The women sit beneath blankets, rocking babies back to sleep. The elders hum low songs again, their voices smooth like wind through tall grass. The warriors rest with heads lowered, some sharpening blades quietly, others simply watching the stars. The calm has returned. You hear footsteps behind you, soft, steady. Boudicca walks slowly between the fires. She does not wear armor now, just her long cloak, her braids loose, her eyes distant. Her daughters follow quietly behind her, silent as ever. She pauses near our small circle of embers. Her eyes meet your father's for a long moment. No words pass between them, only shared weight, shared knowing. She speaks finally, not to rally, not to command, only to place her voice into the quiet. They will write songs of their victories. She glances toward the distant horizon. They will carve names into stone, write histories to remind themselves. Her voice lowers, but we will remember what they forget. The stars blink softly above her. The hunter walks his endless path. The bear circles slow and steady. The serpent coils between them. Silent witnesses, older than Rome, older than kings, older than stories. You pull your brother's cloak higher again as the wind shifts, his soft breath steady on your shoulder. He dreams, safe beneath the wide, quiet sky. Boudicca turns back toward the distant fields. Her daughters stand beside her, hands folded calmly, their eyes steady, their backs straight. There is no victory tonight, but there is survival. And sometimes that is the deepest form of victory.
Your father speaks again, softer than before. The stars will remember. You nod and whisper under your breath, so will we. The fires hum softly around you. The earth cools beneath your tired feet. The wind brushes gently across your skin. The world breathes, and you drift.
The morning arrives without hurry. The sky fades gently from deep gray into soft gold, the clouds thin, the air cool and clean. The fires have burned down completely now. Only thin trails of smoke drift lazily upward, disappearing into the brightening sky. The field rests silent. The bodies have been carried away. The broken shields gathered into neat piles, the spears laid gently to the side. The ground still carries the marks of the long struggle, but even here, nature begins its quiet work. The grass will grow again, the wind will brush away the dust, and soon only memory will hold what happened here. You sit beneath a wide oak, your brother sleeping quietly against your side, his breath warm, his weight gentle. Your father sits nearby, silent. No words are needed. You have all spoken enough. The war bands remain gathered, but their circle is looser now, no longer held tight by purpose, now resting, softly dissolving into small clusters of families, friends, neighbors. The rebellion is no longer a rising wave. It has become something quieter, a deep current beneath the surface, still present, still alive. Boudicca stands at the far edge of the field, her daughters beside her, her cloak heavy across her shoulders, her hair loose beneath the pale wind. She watches the hills, her gaze far beyond what the eye can see, not toward Rome, not toward victory, but toward what comes after, the long wait of returning home. The Roman legions will return in time, stronger, fiercer. You know this, everyone does. The empire does not forget challenges easily, but today is not theirs. You close your eyes for a moment. The ground beneath you hums softly, warm beneath the spreading sunlight. The wind brushes gently across your face. You listen, not for voices, not for commands, not for movement. You listen to the land itself, the quiet pulse that has carried your people for generations, the breath of soil, the song of trees, the hum of rivers winding far beyond the reach of any road. For a brief moment, there is no empire, no banners, no soldiers, only this, the soft truth that outlives every name carved into stone. Your father finally speaks, his voice thin and gentle. They will write of kings. You nod. They will write of victories and losses. He pauses. But the earth will remember only who stood. You glance up at the open sky. The stars are pale now, washed into the morning light, but you trace their places in your mind. The hunter, the bear, the serpent. Their quiet paths will continue long after this day fades into story. Your brother stirs softly beneath his cloak, sighs once, and sleeps again. You pull the fabric higher around his shoulders. Your hand lingers there, resting on the small rise of his breathing chest. Boudicca finally turns from the hills. She walks slowly back toward the gathered families. No grand words, no raised voice, only calm steps across soft ground. The queen who stood and still stands. The world breathes, the fires fade, the weight settles gently back into the earth. And you? You close your eyes. The breeze hums softly, the land cools beneath your tired feet, and you drift